Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Retrospective review. Now, before I get into this film, I want to talk about its producer, Michael Bay, because although he is only a producer, his fingerprints are all over it, and for all intents and purposes, this is Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles movie.
Crime, violence, and fear have run rampant. Our great city is being destroyed. People want justice restored to this world. People want heroes, Miss O'Neill. But heroes are not born. They're created. That's what your father and I were trying to do. Create heroes.
So, in all my preparation for this video, I have grown a proper respect for Michael Bay as a filmmaker. Not because his films are particularly groundbreaking or ingenious, but because he is completely honest about what it is he's doing and what he wants to do. He makes movies with the express purpose of having fun and of making a fun experience for the audience, which he's completely open about. And he's always putting himself at the forefront of filmmaking technology to try to create as immersive and as entertaining of an experience as possible, even if that experience is only surface level.
A movie like Transformers needs to be seen using the very finest tools, the best sound technology, best projection technology, and cameras. I'm here to keep 3D alive, and the only way to make it the best experience for you is to shoot it natively. That means 2 cameras, 2 eyes that see exactly what you're seeing. We're the first movie to ever shoot IMAX 3D. We place these 2 gigantic cameras on top of each other to give you amazing resolution. It's just like your eyes, you see depth, and it's beautiful, and it's something you cannot fake. We're gonna spend the extra $10 to $15 million, and we're gonna do it right. We're in fact the only movie this summer that was shot in native 3D. So an image like this, to post-convert, is virtually impossible. See those billions of little particles here? They have to capture each one of those and put them in different space, whereas when you shoot it natively, it's already doing that for you.
So this movie is all about April O'Neil, a reporter who is trying to get to the bottom of the crimes committed by a secret criminal organization known as the Foot Clan. Although, I guess they're not really that secret because they are all over the news. So during her investigation, she comes across the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whose introduction is just perfect.
Give me the camera.
Oh, look, he's doing his Batman voice.
Oh, she's so hot I can feel my shell tightening.
We can hear you. If you don't give me the camera, I'm gonna... Enough! Back off, Raph!
And she later finds out that the Turtles and their master Splinter are actually the result of experiments that were being conducted by her late father and a man named Eric Sachs, who were trying to make a cure for all disease. But after April's father learns that Eric Sachs is actually working with the Shredder, he burns the entire lab, and April rescues the Turtles and Splinter, releasing them into the sewer, where they grow into that. So as they grow, Splinter teaches them the ancient art of ninjutsu from a book. Seriously? A book.
And then I found a way.
So the rest of the film is all about April and the Turtles working together to try to stop Eric Sachs and the Shredder. Oh, and there's that other guy.
Boy, Leo, April, and that other guy.
So this plot is pretty basic, rather formulaic, which It's honestly very similar to the plot of The Amazing Spider-Man, which came out just 2 years earlier, but it does lend itself to some pretty fantastic set pieces like the lair or the side of a cliff. I like that the origin ties into the actual plot of the film, which hasn't really been done very well before. They kind of tried to do it with The Secret of the Ooze, but that just was a complete failure on every level. I mean, the secret of the ooze was that it's ooze. So the only thing that really gets me about this is that there is far too much focus on April as far as the plot goes, but not even anything on the story. So she kind of just takes away screen time from characters like Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, who could have been much, much better. So the Save the World plot feels a bit crammed in, and it doesn't have really any emotional weight on the characters at all. I mean, like, none of it really feels like we really need to do this, you know? Like, in the first movie, in 1990, they weren't trying to save the city from the Shredder's evil gas. They were just trying to rescue their father. They were trying to rescue Master Splinter, who was kidnapped by the Shredder. That has so much emotional weight for the characters and therefore for the audience that this plot just doesn't have. And as much as I might miss Hamato Yoshi, there was really no way they could have fit him in here. I absolutely love the visual style of this film. Everything from the opening animation to the set design, it all gives a very, very detailed and, I don't want to say cartoonish, but a very colorful sets, very colorful design that all gives it a very comic book or a cartoon-like feeling to it. And as usual with Michael Bay, the cinematography during the action scenes was fantastic. Everything was shot clearly when it needed to be, and when you weren't supposed to be able to tell what was going on, you had no idea what was going on. There were a lot of quick cuts for scenes like the subway fight or the lair fight scene where you're supposed to be sort of hazed and a bit confused, but for the rooftop fight or the cliff scene, everything is very clear, everything is simple. There are a lot of long mirror shots, a lot of moving of the camera around, and it just looks fantastic. Outside of the action, however, the cinematography is rather bland. It's just basic, straight shots that honestly look like they were shot by a cable news cameraman. However, I really do love the scenes with Eric Sachs and the Shredder. Those are shot perfectly, having the Shredder's head clouded in shadow and Eric sort of looking up at him all the time. It's very, very perfect. It just is very well done. Speaking of the Shredder and the Turtles, the character design is just as important as the background design. And I really want to talk about the Shredder first because I have a lot to say about him and because yeah. So, I really love this suit. Granted, it looks more like Megatron than the Shredder, but I really think it could have worked very well if they used it less. Because I think if they had used more of a classic 2003-like look for most of the movie, and then hinted at this one a bit like they did in this scene, and then only used the Megatron robot samurai Shredder suit at the very climax of the movie, it would have had much more impact because it would have been a lot like the Super Shredder from Secret of the Ooze. So that the climax would have a much heavier weight to it, and we would have also gotten a much more classic-looking Shredder throughout most of the film. One of my favorite character designs from this movie has got to be the Splinter. The Splinter? Are you kidding me? One of my favorite character designs from this movie has got to be Splinter. I mean, just look at him. He perfectly matches this Japanese old man in both the appearance and the voice. So, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Tony, Danny Woodburn, and the visual effects team did a great job bringing Splinter to life. And now for the very controversial design of the Turtles themselves. And overall, I love it. I mean, just look at that. Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello all look fantastic. From their body, their shells, their heads, even having a proper beak to resemble the actual head shape of a box turtle, they just look very good. Now you notice I didn't say Michelangelo, because where his body and his shell are great, his head is just off. I'm not really sure what it is. Maybe it's because it's just too flat, or it's a bit too wide. It doesn't really have much of a beak. But he looks more like an orc than a turtle. So besides just the body, the turtles' clothes are all greatly designed to rather match their personalities very well, which is a very new thing when this movie was made, but looking at the newest show, I have a feeling it's going to be copied for a while. So just look at Leonardo, right? He's got the bamboo chest plates, he's got that samurai skirt thing, he's got the Japanese symbols all over himself, and he just looks very stoic, looks very leader-like. And that's in both the clothes and the actual physical look of him. And the rest, of course, follow suit. On that note, the characters themselves were really great. Nearly everybody was perfectly on point, except for the utter lack of turtle-based puns. But on a serious note, one of the things I loved most about the Turtles was their truly brother-like bond, which I would argue came from the actors having a genuine brother-like bond that they built up during production.
I think it happened over the course of the shoot that those four guys became like the characters that they played. I mean, I don't know that they came to set that way, but they certainly left. They're a unit. I mean, we look at them as a unit now.
Yeah, you might as well not have arms. You literally might as well not have arms.
Or, as rumors might suggest, being treated horribly by production.
So they had all these loopholes, we realized after the fact, where they didn't have to pay us for anything extra. Meal penalties, lunch, overtime, nothing. So we're this group of four, an island of just ripe for abuse, right? And the crew was wrapping out. We were shooting in Brooklyn one day and had a long ride back to Manhattan where everybody was staying. And they wouldn't let us in the cars to go home. So the Turtles, they wouldn't let us in the cars to go home.
What do you mean?
They wanted to get the crew out of there to get them off the clock. Because if they stayed, they had to pay them.
Right.
If we stayed, they don't. And the freaking studio that we were shooting in locks the doors because they were like, we're closing up for the night. We had a cleaning crew coming in. Like, it's not, it's security here. And so we're in the parking lot sitting on our backpacks in an empty parking lot because the rest of the crew had driven. Anybody who needed to be shuttled was being shuttled, and they're like, producer said you can't get in yet. So we sat there. I'm calling my team in LA, like, they won't give us a ride home. What the kind of production is this? Like,
wow. The only character I really don't like, actually, is April. April O'Neil is supposed to be a very smart character who is always looking for and successfully helping the Turtles in some way or another. But in this movie, she doesn't really do anything. I know that's weird to say, but like, after rescuing them from the sewer, she has absolutely no purpose in the story whatsoever. And if anything, she actually hurts the Turtles quite a lot because she leads the Foot Clan right to their lair. Now, think about it. The Turtles were already fighting the Foot, right? It was only a matter of time before they found out about Eric Sachs' plan and all that stuff and put a stop to it. April wasn't really of any help throughout any of that process. And the only time where she really does help the Turtles is in a pretty stupid way that ends up probably screwing most of them over anyway.
This is all that's left.
Little girl. That belongs to me.
Now, the soundtrack was rather generic, and it just didn't really feel like anything special or anything unique, although I still absolutely love the credits rap song, and for what it's worth, the main theme is really good, despite being kind of generic. Now I also want to note on the pacing here before I wrap up, because the pacing in this movie was very fast, which most of the time was actually very helpful to it, but it did not leave enough time for really human, emotional moments like Splinter's death should have, because it's kind of cut short, because you go from Raphael watching his father, the man who raised him, who taught him everything he knows, die in front of him. And it's cut short for a fedora scene with that guy. What a simp. Overall, I surprisingly liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Of course, I had all the nostalgic excitement from my childhood, but also on a much more critical and filmmaking level, I truly appreciated a very significant amount of it. And I think part of why people hate on this movie so much is because they take the Ninja Turtles far too seriously. And let's be real about this, they're meant to be absurd. It's called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're not supposed to be taking these guys too seriously. Which actually brings me to my final point. The Ninja Turtles are just better as a TV show, because it gives you the proper amount of time you need to have a build-up for every character. In a 2-hour movie, you only really have time to have a real relationship with one, sometimes two of them. But in a show, you can have entire episodes, or even entire arcs, just about one guy. Just about Michelangelo. Just about Donatello. And that way you have more connection with the characters, so that you have more emotional impact when bad things happen to them. I have yet to see a movie match the same emotional weight as the 2003 show did when the Turtles first fought the Shredder. Or even hit the same intensity level as literally the opening scene of Season 1.
My name is Leonardo, and right now my brothers and I are in a mess of trouble. Our backs are up against the wall in some trash-strewn alley, cornered by the toughest street gang on the east side.
Look at the freaks! What's with the dweeby costume?
This ain't Halloween.
You're going down, freaks!
Yeah!
Nobody messes with the purple dragons, especially wearing stupid turtle costumes. He's wrong. We're not wearing costumes.
It also gives you far more time to dive deep into the weirdness of the Turtles, which I think is when it's at its best. For example, the Season 5 of the 2003 show literally ends with the Turtles turning into dragons to fight the Demon Shredder, who is also a dragon. And it's full of other weird stuff, and that is all built up properly because the show has given you enough time to be used to weird stuff like time travel, alternate dimensions, demons, crazy magical superpowers, superheroes, the Justice Force, for God's sake. So this movie is a lot better than I expected, and even when you pull back the nostalgia curtains, it still holds up pretty damn well. Thank you all for watching. This is the very first episode of a new show I want to try to do called the Retrospective Review, where I look back at movies, whether they're 2 years old or 100 years old, and I review them, look back at them, see how they hold up today. So if you like this video, I would appreciate if you leave a like on the video, maybe share it with someone, maybe even subscribe. That's all. Thank you very much again for watching, and goodbye.